Hey y'all, so I am back with part 4 of my forgiveness journey, and in today's video I wanted to tell you guys about the events that led up to my father being killed. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I first wanted to start by sharing that at the time both Deborah and my dad were addicted to drugs, and so that's pretty much how they initially connected. And on that specific night, Deborah had invited my dad over to her house. And I don't know roughly how long he was there, but he eventually left and went home. And so later on that evening, Deborah's mom returned home and realized that some jewelry was missing. And so when she questioned Deborah, basically the only person that she can think of who possibly took it was my dad, because he was the last one that was in the house. And so she basically took her dad's shotgun and she left the house and pretty much went to go look for my dad. She did. So she drove around the neighborhood. She had to end up eventually asking somebody where my dad even stayed. And so they directed her to the house, and she just basically knocked on the door. My uncle answered the door, and he had already peeped the shotgun behind her back. So at the time, my dad was already asleep. So my uncle went to go wake him up and was pretty much trying to explain to him, like, hey, there's a woman at the door asking for you. And just FYI, she has a gun, so just be careful. But my dad, he was always like too cool for school. So he was like, oh, I'll go talk to her. She don't want nothing. And so he goes to the door, and him and Deborah basically make their way out to the sidewalk. And I think they exchanged words, and Deborah said the only thing that she remembered is the gun went off and that she seen like a big flash was the only thing that she remembered. So my dad immediately drops to the ground. And so by this time, my family done heard everything. So they're rushing out to the sidewalk. Specifically, my grandma actually held my dad in her arms pretty much all the way up into his last breath. And by the time the ambulance had came and got him to the hospital, he was already pronounced dead. And so pretty much that was the events that led up to my dad even getting killed. And it took them, I think, roughly 2 or 3 days for them to catch up to Deborah. And I think she eventually just turned herself in. But pretty much next week, you guys are going to hear directly from Deborah herself. So stay tuned. Part 5 will be coming next week. Bye.